Okay, guys, I appreciate you for clicking on this video, but sadly, I don't have the best news to share with this one. I really hoped this deck would be better than I think it is, because I really like Mega Camerupt as a Pokemon. I also really like the card. I love the Burn Special Condition. I love Volcarona. I love Magmortar. There's so many things about this that I love and enjoy, but sadly, I cannot recommend this deck. And it's a bit of a shame, because I've seen a lot of people online really gas this up and say it's the bee's knees, and I've seen loads of people have a lot of success with it as well. So maybe I'm just really, really bad at this game. I've been playing since XY. I would have hoped not by now. But, I would have hoped this deck would be so much better than it is and what other people are letting me believe it is. But sadly, I just don't think it's very good. And I honestly wouldn't recommend, shelling out for this IRL, basically. Like online with credits, it's not so bad because, right, most of this is stuff you might already own in your collection, and thus Mega Camerupt is the only thing you need to pull or purchase with credits. But if you're building this from scratch IRL, I would not recommend this build. Sadly, I am going to try again in the future with different Camerupt builds, definitely ones without using Magmortar and just focusing on Volcarona with Dragapult Draw Engines or something. But for now, I don't think this deck is very good, and it's just a bit of a shame really, because I was really looking forward to this. So yeah, so Mega Camerupt, in a nutshell, has 340 HP, which is a lot for a stage 1, but of course it is giving up 3 prize cards, so you will have to be careful with what you bench, because your opponent doesn't really need to KO 2 Camerupts to win the game. All they have to do is KO Camerupt, KO a single prize Pokemon, which is very easy to do if your opponent goes first, because they'll KO something like Numel or Larvesta, for example, and then they can KO Mega Camerupt, so at that point they've taken 4 prize cards, and then they can just boss Fezan and win the game, or knock out 2 smaller Pokemon back to back if they want to. So very easy, plenty of ways to take all 6 prize cards against this deck. So do be careful when using things like Fezan and Budew, for example. But yeah, 340 HP, has 2 pretty good attacks. Roasting Heat does 80 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is burned, this attack does 160 more damage. It sounds great in theory, right? Because you could just sit there, use Volcarona's ability, trigger the burn, discard a fire energy from your hand, and then, you could just do 240 damage. Life is great, that should be fine. But it's just not really enough damage in this day and age. Sure, against some basic EXs, it's fine. Ethan's Ho-Oh, for example, is the match I literally just played. That was absolutely fine. Things like Goldengo, things like Iron Hands, absolutely fine. But, much bigger Pokemon you're going to really struggle with, because Volcano Meteor is kind of your best option for dealing with them. And it's very awkward. 1 Fire Energy and 3 colors to do 280, then you have to discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. Fortunately, we do have Ignition Energy in the format, but this list chose to play only 1 Ignition Energy. This is a list from Japan, by the way. It's not my own creation. But I will try a build in the future that plays more copies of these, and maybe try and focus on the more 1 KO aspect of Camerupt, and also play, some Crushing Hammers for some additional support, maybe. I think there's a lot of different ways you can build Camerupt, which what makes it, so appealing, I think. But overall, this particular build, there's something about this list. Maybe it's just the list, maybe this list in particular is cursed. But right now, it's just really not been doing it for me. But yeah, as for some other Pokemon in the deck, we do have Magmortar, which has the ability Magma Surge. During Pokemon checkout, put 3 more damage counters on your opponent's burned Pokemon, which of course is fantastic. And then Volcarona, which is kind of the main other piece in this deck, really. You can build this without Magmortar. You don't need Volcarona. But sorry, the other way around. You can build this with Volcarona, but you don't. Yeah, you don't really need Magmortar, but the extra damage is nice. But yeah, Volcarona is quite important because it has the ability Torrid Scales, which lets you discard a Fire Energy to inflict the Burn Special Condition. And that's kind of it for Pokemon. But one of the other main things about this deck, which kind of holds it back, is Numel is quite a tanky camel and has 80 HP. Magmar has 90 HP. So if you want to actually set up the board quickly, then you always have to use the Arven Precious Trolley route, which kind of sucks a bit. I'm not a huge fan of this strategy, because if you prize Precious Trolley right, you're just relying on nest balls to get your basics, or call for family on Numel, which is lucky enough that it has it in the first place. But it's still not the best. And if you whiff Arven turn 1 going second, the deck can feel really bad. 3 Pokégear for Arven should get you there most of the time, but if you don't get it, it does feel a bit rough. So yeah, not being able to use Puffin just kind of feels bad. So you have to Precious Trolley and then TM Evo. Plus, most of the time, you will, of course, need to have like an energy as well to TM Evo. So it can just get a bit more awkward. And like the supporter count, like I'm not really sure I agree with supporters in this list. I might change it around a bit, like maybe remove some Iono, add in some either like Lily's Determination or perhaps like more copies of Hilda, just because I quite like Hilda in this deck, like search your deck from an evolution and a fire energy card, but it can also get your ignition energy as well, which is quite nice. I do understand why they're playing Turo over Wally's Compassion, because Professor Turo just lets you pick up something else, like Magmortar, for example, because these Pokemon are really annoying when they get stuck in the active spot. Like, yeah, you have Air Balloon, you have Switch, but it can be a bit annoying to find those cards if you don't have an Arven. So just being able to Turo one of these guys out, especially when you can Pokégear for Turo, is actually really nice. So I do really like that aspect about this list, and it has helped me out a lot over something like Wally's Compassion. But I definitely think in the future, if I play like a proper Camerupt Volcarona build, I just won't bother with Turo, and I'll just play Wally's Compassion, because I do prefer Wally's Compassion overall to Turo. It's just Turo in this particular build is quite nice. It also does mean, though, that you can get away with playing Fezandipiti, because Fezand's a bit of a liability. Like, boss, 2 prizes, kind of awkward sometimes. So I do like the ability to just pick it up after it's been used. But yeah, 1 research, kind of want more research. 2 Earthen Vessel, because Camerupt needs an energy, plus Volcarona 1 for its ability. But at the same time, I honestly don't think you need Vessel. Like, I think Energy Search might actually be better, because you most of the time you don't want to discard that extra card. Like in this deck, everything feels very important, to the point where maybe it's even worth cutting a TM evolution and just kind of risking it not being prized and throwing in like a second air balloon or something, because like everything just feels really important. It's awkward. But yeah, it is very awkward about Puffin as well. But I also don't want this to be the A spec. I kind of want Hero's Cape in here, or not Hero's Cape, but maybe that like item that inflicts burn and poison or something. That could be quite fun. Yeah, counter capture, because typically like you don't necessarily need Budew. Like I've not really felt I've needed Budew yet, but like typically you just want to use TM Evo, and then of course that means you can counter capture after they've done something, after they've KO'd a Pokemon, I should say, and then of course you can then take your 2 prize cards that way on a Fezandipiti or something. But that doesn't always happen. You know, that's like best case scenario really. And then 9 energy, as we mentioned earlier. So yeah, I do hope that it's just like the first few games that I'm playing with this deck and getting used to it, and it's not like a greater indication of Camerupt's potential. But I really do hope that this deck ends up being better than I'm giving credit for. But you know, I am kind of tired of seeing loads of content creators gas up decks, and then it's just like they're actually pretty mid. You know, you're going to get flattened by Dragapult and stuff. So, like, you know, it's all fun and games saying you'll beat the occasional meta deck, but at the end of the day, if you really struggle most of the time, then you know, is it really worth it in the end? So, you know, I'm hoping it's just a one-off though, and that you know the other megas will be better. But as it stands right now, I'm honestly not that impressed with this particular build. But yeah, as I said earlier, I will be trying again. I do want to try like a more tankier disruption focused build with Camerupt and Volcarona. I also want to try a build that uses Volcanion EX and Latios. So like Volcanion inflicts a burn, Latios retreats for free. So like you can just pivot between Volcanions to inflict burn, and that's it. And I think that could be really good as well. So like I'm curious to see how the other builds fare as well. But this one with 3 different stage 1s, like honestly, it's just not doing it for me. So yeah, let me know what you think about Camerupt down below. Have you had a similar experience, or you've been having a ton of fun with it? But yeah, let me know what you think down below. And yeah, thank you for watching. But yeah, I'm thinking about maybe... Is that a Cargo? Okay. Probably just Iono, actually, now that they've done the boss play. It's really annoying. Because I don't want them to sit with, you know, just sit behind Qualavas and stuff. But they do play Pheasant down, which is interesting. Like, I would have thought with an Ultra Ball you'd want to get a Quilava. We'll see what they do. Honestly, Pheasant's really good for us, because it's just like one more, you know, like one more thingy. Do I want to bin another energy? Not really. I suppose we might draw into another Camerupt. I could guarantee it with Ultra Ball. But that, yeah. I just don't really want to waste Ignition energy, because it's such an easy way of one curing something. We'll do it this way. I don't want to have to do it this way, but we'll do it this way. If they'd bossed up something else like Volcarona, or like even just the Magmar again, which I think would have been the correct decision to boss up Magmar, then like we would have had to have like dug for a switch. But I suppose we could play this, right? We don't necessarily need anything though, that's the thing. Artazon, not useful. Another Magmar is actually fine. Yeah, we'll just do this. Conserve the energy. Don't need to discard it. So we also lead with the first few prizes, which isn't always what this deck wants to do. Like typically, like the reason why you play 2 Countercatcher is because you want to like go Arven TM Evo and then probably promote Budew and like stall for a bit while you get like all the evolutions set up. But I think the deck is honestly a little bit faster than that. Like I don't think you need 3-4 turns to get into the game. But yeah, we'll see what my opponent does here. Also, the deck plays Turo's Scenario over Wally's Compassion if I don't mention this in the deck profile, because Wally's will only heal Camerupt, which is good, but the thing is, Turo lets you pick up any one of these if they get boss stalled and you run out of like switches and stuff. So that can be really useful. But 3 energy on Cyndaquil, really? Okay, I'm assuming we're playing against an inexperienced player here. That's a bit of a shame. I don't really have the time to record another game, though. I'll have to try again tomorrow, maybe. Okay, so yeah, that's what I thought would happen. They would just Iono our hand away, so we don't really need anything in that hand, though. Okay, we get Magmortar, that's cool. We get a switch if we ever need it. I might Arven for a Vessel, actually. So I'm assuming they play 4 Ethan's Adventure. I'm assuming they do. Yeah, what they're going to do here. Because, like, we can one-shot this. Okay, so that's a smart move, because Magcargo is a bit of a threat. Like, honestly, I don't even think Ethan's Magcargo is that bad of a deck. It's a pretty solid rogue deck. I honestly think Ethan's Magcargo with Ho-Oh and, like, Pinsir is better than this. Which is sad, because, like, I really like Mega Camerupt as a Pokemon, but I just don't think this deck is that good. It's a bit of a shame, really. Your turn. Okay. Well, we definitely don't need another Numel, so that could be discarded. Oh, I should have Arven first. That was silly. Why didn't I do that? I'll get rid of these guys, because we have another Magmortar in deck anyway. Yeah, that was silly. I think that was like unnecessary as well. Like I didn't necessarily need to do that. It does thin the deck out a bit though. So yeah, we'll use Arven. Grab this. I will grab this. Will I grab that? I mean, we have a switch in hand actually. So we're going to discard one of them eventually, but I think we're going to be okay. Like, unless they, you know, play a Gravity Mountain, dump all 4 Ethans, like, play a Maximum Belt, you know, I think we're going to be okay. Roasting Heat. We do have to be somewhat careful they don't, like, boss stall us out of the game, but I think we'll be alright. We've also shuffled the deck, so we might see boss again soon. But yeah, this is what Camrupt's good at. It's good at surviving hits, it's good at, like, taking out these fragile EX Pokemon. It's just not really good at dealing with big stuff. So here's Ethan's adventure for what I assume is going to be a Magcargo, a Typhlosion, and a Cyndaquil. Okay, just a Typhlosion. Wow. We do also have the energy, so we can 1-hit KO Typhlosion when the time comes. Because right now we don't need to do anything else. Like, realistically, if we KO these two, that's fine, but, like, obviously we just want to boss Fez if possible. I'm guessing this is like the free Ethan's deck, or is it like a concoction that someone's built? Because it does look like it's playing all 4 Ethans. Yeah, and Shaman's a good card. Trying to look for redeeming qualities here. Shaman's a good card. Should definitely have focused on getting more Typhlosions out. Like, Typhlosion's really good into Megas. It's just like when you start spamming Wally and Turo, then Typhlosion starts to get a lot more mediocre. Alright, flip script. Honestly, Fezandipiti's not even that bad because you can like snipe evolving Pokemon as well. Yeah, we'll see. Because all we really need now is a boss. I wonder if like regular Pokemon catcher would be alright in here. So you could like Arven for a Pokemon catcher. Arven for what? Like, we actually don't need anything. Because they didn't even evolve, so like, yeah, they didn't evolve. I guess Pokégear, so we can finish this game a bit quicker. I don't think we need Air Balloon out of the deck. I'm not going to play Pokégear. I'm going to leave it. Because we can't play another supporter, of course, so I don't see a point in wasting it. I doubt they will Iono us at this point. I mean, they might. They have a very big hand size, though. And what you tend to see with inexperienced players is that if they have a big hand size, they rarely use Iono, even if you have like 1 prize card, 2 prize cards remaining. It's just something that I've noticed. But they might do. They might also just want to play another Ethan's Adventure. Yeah, okay. Because like Steam Artillery is not a good attack. Buddy Blast is definitely the better attack here. So yeah, I think my opponents realized a little bit too late that Typhlosion's significantly better than whatever they were trying to attack with earlier. Although I don't think they've attacked at all this game. They've done 20 damage, that's it. Okay, another 20 on Ho-Oh. But yeah, not really too important because we can one-shot them. They can't one-shot us. I think they still need like a Defiance Band or like a Maximum Belt. Defiance Band would get them there, actually. Yeah, they need to discard another Ethans, but Defiance Band would get them there. We also like have Pokégear for boss, though, and Fezandipiti for boss. So I think we've won either way, but we'll see. We shall see. Also, if you're wondering why they haven't conceded yet, they're probably also doing like daily challenges as well, which is something that people do. You know, 200 crystals is a lot. Like, I'm really glad that they improved the amount of crystals that you get. Because it used to be like 50 or 60 or something. It just was not enough. But yeah, sadly, that'll be that. Pretty anticlimactic. 6 prize card destruction. But honestly, one of the few games that I've actually won with Camerupt today, which is a bit sad. Roasting heat. But yeah, I'll definitely try again with Volcanion build, just because I love Mega Camerupt, but this build itself, just not very good, sadly.